This video is about delayed auditory feedback. If you like these videos, please buy my book, Making Stuttering Therapy Work, which is available on Amazon. In 1992, a temp agency sent me to work at a tech company. They'd released a new operating system and needed someone to call their customers and ask if they wanted the new release on a tape drive or a CD. The question was simple, but I stuttered severely and I struggled through each call. On one call, the telephone malfunctioned and I heard my voice back in my ear delayed slightly. I'd used a DAF device in a speech clinic the previous year, so I knew how to slow my speech by stretching vowels to match the delay. I spoke fluently on that call, and then I had improved fluency for the rest of the day. The temp job ended a few days later. I called the telephone company's research department and asked if they could make my telephone do this all the time. They said no, so I started building a DAF telephone. 30 years later, I've sold more than 5,000 DAF devices to schools, speech clinics, and persons who stutter. When the DAF effect on stuttering was discovered in the 1960s, delayed auditory feedback devices were tabletop tape recorders, so couldn't be used outside the speech clinic. Richard Curley, William Perkins, and Bruce Ryan developed fluency shaping therapy to mimic the effects of DAF without the devices. I completed 2 fluency shaping therapy programs. I learned to slow down and talk fluently. My speaking rate was within the range of normal speech, and I sounded relaxed and confident. I loved talking like this, but as soon as I stepped out of the speech clinic, I went back to stuttering. Now I'm going to talk about the neurology of stuttering. In the 1990s, neuroscientists imaged the brains of adults who stutter. They discovered 2 abnormalities. First, overactivity in the speech motor control area. So persons who stutter have too much speech muscle movement when we stutter. And second, underactive auditory processing. There's something wrong with how persons who stutter hear our voices. In particular, we seem to have problems integrating how we hear our voices with how we feel our muscles moving. Fluency shaping therapy reduces overactive speech motor activity. It was no surprise that brain imaging found overactivity in the speech motor control areas during stuttering. Underactive auditory processing was a surprise. Fluency shaping therapy doesn't address this problem. This is why I couldn't produce slow, fluent speech outside of the speech clinic. I have an auditory processing disorder. I prefer to watch movies with subtitles on, and at noisy events I can't understand what people are saying, and I can't talk. Altered auditory feedback, AAF, which includes delayed auditory feedback, frequency altered auditory feedback, and the Edinburgh Masker, appear to stimulate underactive auditory processing in persons who stutter. No other stuttering therapy does this. DAF should be a part of every stuttering therapy program. Now, I don't mean to say that every person who stutters needs DAF. Some individuals have more disordered auditory processing, some have less. I have more disordered auditory processing, so I need DAF. Some individuals can do speech therapy without a DAF device. Now I'm going to talk about the long-term effects of DAF, adaptation versus carryover fluency. Okay, I'm going to change something on my DAF device. I'm going to change the FAS settings, and I'm change the delay settings. So this is now at maximum speaking rate. So A Korean engineer bought one of my DAF FAF devices. He loved it. He said it made him completely fluent, and he adjusted the controls to increase his speaking rate. He called his relatives in Korea, and now he could talk as fast as his relatives. Wow. So that was adjusted for maximum speaking rate. I'm going to adjust it for slowing down. Okay. That sounds much better. Now it's making me relaxed and fluent. I told the Korean engineer to put the controls back to the slow settings. If he continued to talk fast, he'd experience adaptation. In other words, the effectiveness could wear off. If he used the device to slow down, then his speech would improve over time and he'd develop carryover fluency. So DAF has two effects. DAF stimulates auditory processing, which is underactive in persons who stutter, enabling you to talk any way you want. And DAF reduces speech motor activity, which is overactive in persons who stutter, enabling you to slow down and do fluency shaping therapy outside of the speech clinic, If you do the former without the latter, talking fast without doing speech therapy, then over time you may develop adaptation or the device's effectiveness wears off. But if you use the two effects to slow down and use fluency shaping techniques, then over time you should develop carryover fluency. Your speech should improve and you'll need the device less and less. My company's devices have had two long-term studies. Both studies found more than 50% carryover fluency. In one study, 9 severe adult stutterers used Casa Futura Technologies School DAF devices for an average of 30 minutes per day. This was 10 minutes reading aloud, 10 minutes conversation with a family member, and a 10-minute telephone call. They received no speech therapy. With the devices, they had 70% less stuttering. After 3 months, their stuttering had diminished 55% when speaking without the devices. So I'm going to repeat this. Use delayed auditory feedback in your most stressful conversations, such as telephone calls or public speaking. Combine fluency shaping and delayed auditory feedback for slow, fluent speech. Then take the device off and work on your carryover fluency. Now I'm going to talk about frequency-altered auditory feedback, which is also called FAF and shifts the pitch of your voice in your headphones. The effective range is 1/4 octave to 1 octave. Up, or down shifts are equally effective for immediate fluency. FAF is as effective as DAF, with most users experiencing about a 70% reduction in stuttering. Combining DAF and FAF can push effectiveness up 5 to 10% to the 75 to 80% range. No long-term studies of FAF have been done, but my experience is that upshifting, which sounds like Mickey Mouse, contributes to faster speaking rates and adaptation or wearing off of effectiveness over time, and downshifting, which sounds like Barry White's sexy voice, contributes to slower speaking rates, relaxed respiration, and long-term carryover fluency. Now, your voice doesn't change pitch with FAF. You don't sound like Mickey Mouse or Darth Vader. Listeners hear your normal voice. Only you hear your voice altered in the headphones. Pitch shifting FAF is not simple and requires advanced software running on a powerful computer. In contrast, DAF is simpler and doesn't need a computer. I've seen several inexpensive downloadable apps with horrible sounding FAF. The and the DAF on these apps wasn't great, but it was acceptable. And the Speakeasy hearing aid style device uses frequency shifting, not pitch shifting. So adding 2000 hertz shifts your voice into the device's frequency range, which I'll talk about below, but doesn't seem to have much effect on stuttering. Now I'm going to talk about the Edinburgh Masker. In 1981, the television series That's Incredible featured Herb Goldberg, a Chicago person who stutters, who used an Edinburgh Masker. That show received more mail than any other episode of the series, and Goldberg was invited back for a second show. The Edinburgh Masker uses a throat microphone to detect vocal fold vibration, which is also called phonation. The device, which is pocket-sized, synthesizes a sine wave, which is a humming sound at the frequency of your phonation, and provides this to your earphones. So in other words, what you hear, I mean, if I'm talking up and down like this, what I'll hear is okay. So one study found that the device reduced stuttering 50%, and another study found that the effectiveness didn't diminish over a period of 6 months. Okay, now I'm going to talk about what the experts think. A systematic review and meta-analysis examined 19 studies of electronic anti-stuttering devices, and the conclusion was, quote, both DAF and FAF have been found to reduce stuttering during oral reading in the laboratory, with participants typically experiencing 40 to 85% reductions in stuttering. Selecting a DAF device. Now, there are dozens of altered auditory feedback devices and downloadable apps to choose from, and prices range from free to more than $5,000. So try as many devices as you can. If you tried one DAF device and didn't like it, you might do well with another better quality device. First, decide how and where you want to use the device. A speech-language pathologist only needs to use a DAF device in the speech clinic. Sound quality is paramount, so a binaural, which means 2 ears, headset is the best choice. Like, I'm using a binaural headset. And I suggest you get a box of alcohol prep pads to disinfect the headset between children. A child using DAF in school needs to be able to hear his teacher. The child should not use a device that blocks his hearing. Use a headset that the child puts on to talk, such as his turn reading aloud, and then takes off when not talking. A child shouldn't need to wear a DAF device for extended lengths of time. An adult who stutters will need to use the device on telephone calls. Telephone calls are good for stuttering therapy because some calls are stressful, yet the caller can't see you using the device. My company's basic fluency system and Smalltalk devices connect to telephones with both the DAF and the caller's voice going to both ears of a binaural headset, and the caller hears your unaltered voice. Other devices provide DAF to one ear while you hold your phone to your other ear. Let's see if we can do this, which is not optimal. So you can't pay attention to different signals in different ears at the same time. In other words, you'll tune out the DAF. Some adults with speech disorders, such as Parkinson's, need to wear a speech aid all day. These individuals aren't going to develop carryover fluency and no longer need the device. Persons who stutter, on the other hand, can develop carryover fluency, especially if they combine fluency shaping therapy with DAF. Persons who stutter should use DAF in stressful conversations and then take the device off when they are fluent and work on maintaining fluency without the DAF. Being able to put the device on and take it off easily is important, as well as good sound quality. So headsets are a good choice, although headsets can block hearing. Now, bone conduction headsets are good here because they don't block hearing. But most bone conduction headsets connect with Bluetooth, which doesn't work with stuttering due to latency issues. So my company provides there's a wire on this, wired bone conduction headphones. And we provide throat microphones, which are here to use with the bone conduction headphones. I'll talk about throat microphones later. Now, one more speaking situation is public speaking, which can be highly stressful, but listening may not be necessary. So a binaural headset is a good choice, especially as audiences are used to seeing performers wearing headsets and microphones. Now, when I do public speaking with a PA system, I listen to my voice coming back through the PA, which is delayed and can sound lower in pitch. This works for me, but it takes practice to do that. Okay. Microphones and earphones are critical when to using a DAF device successfully. Binaural or two ears sound is 25% more effective than monaural or one ear sound. A person who stutters mildly might be happy with monaural sound, but a person who stutters severely, or anyone who wants to develop carryover fluency and no longer need the device, will want binaural sound. The frequency range must cover the user's vocal range with a flat frequency response. In other words, some frequencies shouldn't be louder than other frequencies. Adult male phonation is around 125 hertz, women and children phonate around 250 hertz. If you're using FAF downshifting, you'll need a device capable of frequencies down to around 62 hertz. If you shop for a subwoofer for your home audio system, you know that bigger speakers could go down to lower frequencies, and similarly, bigger microphones and headphones sound better at lower frequencies. That's the laws of physics. As a rule of thumb, if a microphone or earphones can be hidden, it can't reproduce adult male vocal range. Background noise is an issue in face-to-face conversations, although not in speech clinics and not on most telephone calls. Noise canceling microphones pick up your voice while rejecting background noise. Throat microphones completely reject background noise. Hearing aid microphones, on the other hand, are designed to pick up background noise louder than your voice. So, binaural headsets are the gold standard for sound quality and convenience. This should be the primary choice for speech clinics, telephone calls, and most face-to-face conversations in public speaking for children and adults. Check the frequency range of headsets as headsets designed for telephone use. I should say some headsets designed for telephone use can cut out below 300 hertz. Bluetooth devices. Well, Bluetooth devices look cool, and some of the larger ones like this one have good but not great sound. So these are okay for occasional use, but won't train carryover fluency. But the problem with Bluetooth devices is that they now have latencies of 500 milliseconds or more. So this is done to improve battery life and to reduce sound dropouts, but this makes Bluetooth devices unusable for delayed auditory feedback because we need delays in the 50 to 100 millisecond range. My company has Bluetooth 1.0 adapters that are set for the Bluetooth minimum spec of 17 milliseconds latency with full duplex, which means talking and listening. This adds 34 milliseconds delay. My devices have a minimum delay of 25 milliseconds, so the combined delay of 60 milliseconds works. However, these Bluetooth adapters are now 20 years old and prone to falling apart, and they don't work with some new Bluetooth devices. Wired earphones are inexpensive and simple. Well, the microphones tend to pick up background noise. These ones are binaural, others are monaural. Now, I love my Shocks bone conduction headphones for listening to podcasts. The sound is good and the headphones don't block my ears, as you can see. Most bone conduction headphones connect via Bluetooth, so can't be used with DAF. So my company sells wired bone conduction headphones. Okay, now I'm going to talk about throat microphones. Throat microphones are way cool. First of all, I'm going to plug the bone conduction headphones into the throat microphone. Then I'm going to put on the throat microphone, like so. And I'm going to move it and move this. I'm going to adjust this over a little bit to about right here. Okay, that's good. Okay, and then I'm going to put on the bone conduction headphones. Okay. So throat microphones might make you look like a member of SEAL Team 6, unless you can hide the microphone under a sweater or a shirt with a collar. Okay. You also want to probably hide the wire. Anyway, you can hide the wire. I don't want to waste your time at the moment. Okay. So, what was I saying? You can hide a throat microphone under a sweater or a shirt with a collar, or you can just let people see it. Throat microphones, as you saw, take a couple of minutes to put on and take off, and a good throat microphone is expensive. Throat microphones are the best choice for rejecting background noise. Throat microphone is required for MPI stuttering therapy, modifying phonated intervals. Now, a throat microphone doesn't sound like other microphones, so you'll hear your vocal folds vibrating, which is called phonation, without articulation, without hearing your articulation. So this is ideal for stuttering therapy, but it requires getting the microphone in the right position. Throat microphones are a good choice for the people who must wear a device all day. Now I'm going to take it off. Okay. And now I'm going to show you the lavalier microphone. So see, the lavalier goes on here, and then it hides inside your shirt. So you put the cable in your shirt, and where did the microphone go? Okay, there it is. You see the microphone? It's hard to see it. It's there. Use the lavaliers or lapel microphones are used all the time for movies and television, because they're easy to hide. They have good sound. They tend to pick up background noise, but they're a good choice. You know, I mean, and they don't cost much. Several companies have tried to convert hearing aids into speech aids. Hearing aids block hearing, so should never be used by children in school. Hearing aids amplify background noise louder than your voice. A person with normal hearing who wears a hearing aid may develop permanent hearing loss. Hearing aids have frequency ranges for people who lose their high-frequency hearing. For example, the SpeechEasy hearing aid style DAF device has a frequency range of 200 to 8,000 hertz, with higher frequencies around 10 dB or 10 times louder than lower frequencies. This is why the device has frequency shifting, adding to 2,000 hertz to bring your voice up into the hearing aid's range. What effect frequency shifting has on stuttering isn't clear, as no studies have been done. Now, if you have hearing loss and you wear hearing aids, my company's devices can be used with adapters that will transmit the DAF sound to your hearing aids. And your audiologist can select a hearing aid with a lower frequency range. Now, check whether you can get a DAF device free. Most Americans who stutter qualify for state special telephone equipment distribution programs, vocational rehabilitation, the Veterans Administration, or other programs. See the discounts section on my website. Read the trial period, guarantee, and warranty. Some companies will allow you to try a device in a speech clinic. Other companies will let you take a device home for 30 days. Some companies will return 100% of your money. Other companies will keep a portion of your money. Last but not least, read the published studies. My company's website has about 20 studies of our devices. And that's the end of this video about delayed auditory feedback. Look on my channel for my other videos about stuttering therapy. Look below the video for a link to buy my book, Making Stuttering Therapy Work, on Amazon. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please click the like and subscribe buttons below the video so I get a share of the revenue from the ads you've seen. And my website is casafuturatech.com.